Craven's luck finally changes in 1984 when an upstart company, New Line Cinema, agrees to produce the writer-director's next film. And the concept is a beautifully twisted one.
So the original Nightmare on Elm Street, it's about a group of teens who all seem to be having the same nightmare about this boogeyman, and if he kills you in your dreams, then you actually die.
Here's what's great about this movie. Kids never want to go to sleep, right? But can you imagine not wanting to go to sleep because you think you're going to die? God, no matter who you are, there's something you can relate to here. If you're old, all you want to do is go to sleep. And if you're young, staying awake is supposed to be fun, not survival. Yeah, Wes Craven doesn't play around when it comes to horror.
All you need is a great idea and a lot of vision. You go out there and think something scary with the pants on.
The best horror movies strike us when we're most vulnerable. It's Marion in the shower in Psycho. It's What's Under the Water in Jaws. When you're more vulnerable than when you're asleep, it taps into a fear that something's going to happen to us when we least expect it.
But the film is far from a guaranteed success. Craven's reputation in Hollywood is still very much on the line. Yet, in November 1984, A Nightmare on Elm Street opens to enthusiastic audiences, and perhaps more surprisingly, positive reviews.
Horror movies always struggle to get good reviews from mainstream critics, but I think Nightmare on Elm Street was recognized for being a good horror movie. It didn't open huge, but people kept going to see it, and the movie was very successful at the box office.
The sleeper hit rakes in more than $25 million domestically, resurrecting Craven's career and inspiring 7 more films, plus a remake.
This movie was shot on a tiny budget. Nobody believed in this movie, and it went on to be a blockbuster.
In order to understand the true roots of this monster franchise, we must jump back to 1981, when Craven, a former humanities professor with a master's degree in writing and philosophy, reads something peculiar, and the spark is lit.
It was a series of newspaper articles in the LA Times that occurred over a year and a half. There were cases of young men that had severe nightmares and had told their families about it. And the next time they fell asleep, they died inexplicably.
They're very sober articles about this mysterious phenomenon, which is refugees from Laos who are dying at an unusually high percentage.
In the newspaper accounts, there was at least one man who was having such horrible nightmares, he did not want to go back to sleep.
He kept himself awake, and he stayed up for nearly a week. Finally, he fell asleep on the couch, and everybody thought, oh my God, this is task. He took him up to his bedroom. And in the middle of the night, they heard screams and stuff, and he ran into his room. He fell silent on his bed and was dead.
And there was no explanation for it. No one could really figure out exactly what he died from.
There was absolutely nothing wrong with his video.
And this made Craven think, well, what if it was the dream that killed him?
The article in the LA Times has a very ordinary kind of title, but just above it, in quotation marks, it says Nightmare Syndrome, and that, I think, is really the start.
Craven's idea for A Nightmare on Elm Street is born, and he doesn't have to look far for inspiration when dreaming up the story's viciously delicious villain.
Wes Craven dug into his own childhood to create Freddy Krueger.
He was just Fred Krueger in the first film.
The name Fred came from a bully who terrorized Wes Craven as a child, and the name Krueger, he adapted that from the character Krug, who was the villain in his first movie, Last House on the Left.
The man himself was based on a man who frightened me as a child. He woke me from my sleep one night, shining down the sidewalk and I got to see what it was. And I looked, and there was this guy dressed very much like that. He was covered dressed at that time. He just stopped, and then he just looked right up at me. And I fell back and sat on the edge of the bed in the dark. I went back to the window, and he was waiting.
And then the man, according to Wes, came to the apartment, opened the door, and Wes's brother, who was older, got a baseball bat, and they went out into the hallway to look for this, and they never saw him again.
I'd love to give that guy credit for changing horror if we could ever find him.
The essence of that man was that he enjoyed terrifying a child and enjoyed sort of destroying the comfort of innocence. So that became Freddy.
With a killer concept in place and a brutal baddie to do Craven's bidding, the writer-director begins to shop his script. But no one bites.
he pitched it everywhere, and he rewrote the script, and he did all kinds of stuff, and he couldn't get any takers for months and months and months. He was being rejected all the time.
Craven was friends with Sean Cunningham, who produced and directed the first Friday the 13th. Cunningham told Craven, it's not going to work, it won't be suspenseful because everyone knows it's a dream.
But Wes Craven persevered. He knew it was a great concept, but he was really fighting an uphill battle for this.
That will also change when Craven fortuitously crosses paths with someone who decides to take the nightmare leaf with him, and together they will create horror history.
Feelings there so clear. It's like powerful allergy relief that won't make you drowsy. Live Claritin Clear. Be new All Sensitive Fresh. It's a game changer for me and my family.
Now All has a detergent that's gentle on skin and leaves our laundry smelling clean.
All Sensitive Fresh. When I apply any scent, my family knows.
Won't be effective Viagra, but faster? Meet Rose Sparks. They contain sildenafil and tadalafil, but Sparks dissolve under the tongue. Dissolvable work faster than most food pills. See if Sparks are right for you at ro.com/sparks.
So you did a fake and then you did another not so good thing. It turns out the person who asked you to do the thing is actually someone else, and now they're threatening you. And there's no need to panic. There is help here for you at cybertipline.org.
Always dry scoop before you run. Listen to me. Hot dog diet got me shredded.
It's time we listen to science. One a day is formulated with key nutrients to support whole body health. One a day. Science that matters.
Type 2 diabetes? Discover the Ozempic Trisyn. I got the power of 3. I lowered my A1C, CV risk, and lost some weight. In studies, the majority of people reached an A1C under 7 and maintained it. I'm under 7. Ozempic lowers the risk of major cardiovascular events such as stroke, heart attack, or death in adults also with known heart disease. I'm lowering my risk. Adults lost up to 14 pounds.
I lost some weight.
Ozempic isn't for people with type 1 diabetes. Don't share needles or pens or reuse needles. Don't take Ozempic if you or your family ever had medullary thyroid cancer or have multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2 or are allergic to it. Stop Ozempic and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or an allergic reaction. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Gallbladder problems may occur. Tell your provider about vision problems or changes. Taking Ozempic with a sulfonylurea or insulin may increase low blood sugar risk. Side effects like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea may lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems. Living with type 2 diabetes?
That's about the power of 3 with Ozempic.
This is too good. Cookie inside a candy bar? It's like a cookie in disguise.
Maybe one of our games in disguise. Unsnap them.
There's more to Twix.
I'm going to school tomorrow. It's like a real backpack, real lunchbox, real school. It's time. Real school. Thanks for these. Real school.
Oh.
Real school. It's time.
With Chime, I can get paid when I want. I couldn't believe it. I can get up to $500 of my pay on my schedule. There's no interest, no credit checks, no mandatory fees, and that's why I Chime. Join me at chime.com and get paid when you say.
Stun light trap attracts and traps flying insects without chemical insecticides. So no matter what the day picks up for you.
Next, y'all looking for whoever owns Chime credit card. Whatever the fuck that is.
Alice loves the scent of gay so much. She wished there was a way to make it last longer. Say hello to your fairy godmother, Alice. And long-lasting gay scent beads. Part of the irresistible scent collection from Gay.
It's 1983, and writer-director Wes Craven is continuing to shop his script for A Nightmare on Elm Street.
I lived there too.
A man who had been actually murdered by a group of parents because he was a child molester and the law had let him go. He turns up in the nightmares of their children.
But the pile of rejection letters from film studios cast serious doubt on whether Craven's brainchild will ever become reality.
And that's in Mayfield Green.
Script went around town for 3 years.
That's what's going back to. It's
And that's when a man named Robert Shea and something called New Line Cinema enters the picture.
New Line Cinema was such a small company that it was actually just based out of the founder Bob Shea's apartment in New York City.
He would take films like Public Domain, Reefer Madness, and show it at colleges. He was not really a feature film distributor or someone who made films, but he liked Nightmare on Elm Street. He decided to get into the production end of it.
Robert Shea saw the potential in it, and what about raising the money to get it done?
Shea greenlights the film, giving it a budget of $600,000.
It was a really independently financed film, and they cast mostly unknown actors. The budget at the time was extremely low for a film of its scale and size.
But Craven is determined to make it work, as the remaining details of his main character, Fred Krueger, continue to get fleshed out.
Horror villains at that time were supposed to have masks.
One mask. Everybody's using masks, but I want them to be able to talk. What about a scar?
It gave him an intimidating appearance, kind of covered the human features, but he could still, what's going on with his skin? Is he a burn victim? You're like, what is happening with this dude?
And that led into the fact that parents had burned him alive.
So, as bad a guy as he is, he does have a certain justification in seeking revenge. Freddy is going after the children of the parents who murdered him.
Wes Craven has said when he dreamed up the villain for this film, he wanted him to be the most despisable thing on earth. And what's more despisable than someone who kills children and actually takes gleeful pleasure in it?
It's beyond serial killer. It's psychopath.
It's a cogent, articulate, devious, clever, resourceful villain. Freddy figured it out. And you kind of knew where you slept. And that kind of villain, I think, is always more frightening.
And then you have this glove with knives. What's this with fingers? Do they fingernails? I don't know. All I'm gonna be terrified.
Pre-spear, pre-knife, pre-sharpened stone to the claws that nature gives to its predators.
And a weird fedora style hat. And he always wore the same thing, which was a striped, like rugby sweater.
There's not even a scientific reason that was so uncomfortable looking at that sweater. Red and green.
There's an article on the two most difficult colors for the retina to see next to each other were those two colors. It was kind of just a smart hodgepodge of stuff. And then finding an actor who was brilliant and could bring it to life.
And that actor would be
Robert Englund here.
Some of you may know me as Freddy Krueger.
Robert Englund was a character actor who'd seen him around here and there in sporting roles.
During this whole Freddy thing, I had a big hit series called thhe. It was like a #1 mini series in rating.
He played a friendly alien named Willie.
Oh wait, here's the dude from thhe. Oh my God, who knew? I played a general audition, just your basic general audition. Wanted to work for Wes Craven.
But Wes Craven isn't exactly looking for England's type.
Craven had expected to cast a taller actor, someone more imposing like David Warner, who had been Jack the Ripper. A very terrifying character.
I think he wanted a big guy. I think he wanted a stuntman originally.
It's really a totally unexpected piece of casting. He just impressed Craven with his ability to bring that character to life.
Maybe he just knew that if he piled all that crap on me, then I still would look normal with mine, because I got broad shoulders for a guy my size, and you can put the prosthetics on me, and that's still the right ratio. I think that might have been one of the gifts I brought. I have a little skinny neck too.
How can you see anyone else as that character? He took it and made it his own.
When I put the glove on the first time, the first prototype glove was so heavy, it literally, you kind of dropped your shoulder. But I did that in front of a mirror. I was in a dressing room, getting stuff fitted to me, and I went, oh, I can use that.
Freddy Krueger is supposed to just be a figure in the dark, something that goes bump in the night and then you end up slashed to death. But England had such an energy about him that the minute you see him in that movie, you're like, oh, this is real.
For every horror film with an utterly wicked villain, there's usually a female lead who spends much of it trying to avoid his clutches. That role of Nancy Thompson will be played by 19-year-old Heather Langenkamp.
Heather Langenkamp was early in her career. She had done some small parts, some TV roles, just like had this girl next door calling.
Just pulled out of college
and buy an apartment. And just trying to go to one auditions like basically every other, 18-year-old in LA at the time. I was able to make, pretty modest living, do commercials, and then I got an audition for Nightmare on Elm Street.
There were a ton of people that auditioned, some very well-known actors. But
Another perfect casting choice in hindsight is for the role of Nancy's boyfriend Glenn, which will go to a 20-year-old complete unknown named Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp, pre-21 Jump Street, makes his film debut in Nightmare on Elm Street, and you can tell pretty quickly that he's going to be a star.
I do have really fond memories. I mean, it was really exciting.
Johnny Depp, before he was like a dirty pirate, he was a cute teenager getting killed.
He's got an on-screen charisma. He's got a presence that works. Johnny Depp had something special and different.
Depp had moved to Los Angeles to pursue music, but then he met an up-and-coming star named Nicolas Cage, who encouraged him to give acting a shot, as he told Entertainment Tonight in 1988.
I was selling pens over the phone, making about $50 a week, maybe, something like that. And I met his agent. She sent me to read for Elm Street and meet the people, and I just got very lucky and got the role.
It's actually something more than just luck, which seals the deal for Depp.
Wes Craven's daughter saw Johnny Depp thought he was adorable. He said, "That's the guy for this movie."
I was shocked at Wes Craven. I mean, Ed Benson, the casting director, for taking such a chance on this guy that was totally new. I mean, I had no idea how to live marks, camera, position. I was clueless.
He was obviously such a looker. There's even a scene in the film where Johnny Depp wears a crop top. Hi, how you doing? And bears his midriff. And it really kind of gave signs for his future sex appeal in Hollywood.
Rounding out the main characters are Nancy's parents, Donald and Marge Thompson.
John Saxon played Nancy's father, and he was an accomplished genre veteran at the time, so he was the big name for the project. And Ronnie Blakely was an Academy Award nominee for her performance in Nashville in 1975, and really brought a lot of warmth to the role of Nancy's mother.
And it's the fragile relationship between the adults and their teenagers that is key to the film's dynamic, and one that will become a Craven staple for years to come.
Come away from Nightmare on Elm Street realizing that adults in this are just not very good or very helpful. The kids have to help each other.
Hi, Master Worker. What you doing? Loving me from a distance. Next door. If somebody steal my hand.
With casting locked up and principal photography set to kick off in just weeks, Craven and his team prepared to create a fear fest like no other. But achieving their goal will be far trickier than anyone could have dreamed.
What makes Paw Patrol Live different? Lot more than you might think. It's live. It's unpredictable. Put that up there. It makes reels the place. On every Friday and Saturday night, only on Reels.
Breathing Claritin Clear is like...
Is he?
Claritin Clear? Yeah, fast relief of allergies with nasal congestion so you can breathe better. Claritin plus decongestant. Live Claritin Clear.
Schwarzkopf.
Hi, Mr. Washington.
Keratin Blonde by Schwarzkopf.
What you doing? You say Mr. Caldwell. Just removing the Mayfield Gray.
Let your hair tell your story. Schwarzkopf Keratin Blonde. What story would you tell? Want the effect
Or
of
got to
Viagra
go get this on.
Meet Rose Sparks.
Okay.
Contains sildenafil and tadalafil, but sparks dissolve under the tongue. Dissolvables work faster than most pills. See if sparks are right for you at ro.co/.
So the dad was riding a bike to come get me.
Growing up, I had a serious
Like,
issue
that's
with my
California.
relationship with food, so I joined Weight Watchers. Never looked back. I lost 70 pounds.
With
I
another.
embraced every version of myself
Shit,
along the way.
The answer
This is
too.
too good. Cookie inside a candy bar? It's like a cookie in disguise.
Imagine one of our gangs in disguise.
Snap him!
You mean to fuck the bitch on point? You say, and you know it, clap your hands. I love you. Mr. Abraham, look at that answer too.
It's time we listen to science. One a day is formulated with
How tall are you?
support whole body health.
One a day. Science that matters.
Al, did you make that call?
Honey, we already have Medicare. Why do I need to call?
Alan, the Feldman said we may be able to get additional benefits with a Medicare Advantage plan right here in ours. It's called...
Honey, what do you mean additional benefits? We turned 65, we got Medicare. That's all there is to it, right?
I'm talking about Medicare Part C, commonly called Medicare Advantage. We have traditional Medicare, which is only Medicare Parts A and B, but not Part C.
Wait. So not everyone on Medicare is a Part C plan?
No, that's why we need to call, because there may be plans available with additional benefits.
What kind of extra benefits?
If you're losing coverage, moving, or new to Medicare, call 800-567-5795 now to speak with a licensed insurance agent. Give them your zip code and see if there's a Part C plan with additional benefits available to you in your area that may better fit your needs. If you don't have a Medicare Part C plan, call now because there may be plans with additional benefits available. Medicare plans and benefits can change each and every year. If you're on Medicare, you can call now even if you called last year. If you feel like you're
Just gotta remember when we're talking about these two.
everything you need, call to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare
Don't come,
Advantage.
bitch.
We will check to see if there's a Part C plan available in your area with additional benefits. You don't get a plan with additional benefits automatically, so call to speak with a licensed insurance agent. Remember, you don't get Medicare Part C plan benefits automatically. Call now for your free 2024 no obligation Medicare benefits review. If you're losing coverage, moving, or new to Medicare, call 800-567-5795 now. Call 800-567-5795. 800-567-5795.
Share us at Eldorado weekdays on Reels. It's the spring of 1984, and shooting for Wes Craven's reality-bending horror film A Nightmare on Elm Street is about to begin. But there are some unexpected last-minute concerns about Fred Krueger's look, specifically that iconic hat.
I was in a room with Bob Shea, head of New Line Cinema, and Wes, and they panicked about the hat. And they started making me try these different hats on. I said, you guys, we're getting desperate here. This is wrong. I said, Wes, that hat is from your imagination. The fedora. I got the DP in there, and I said, look what can happen here with the light on me. And I stood and I said, look at my shadow on the wall. Look at the silhouette.
Craven's original vision of the hat stays, but transforming Robert Englund's actual face into the horrid villain day in and day out will prove to be a bigger challenge.
To make Robert Englund into Freddy Krueger does not come fast. It took hours of hair and makeup to make him that terrifying.
That's the rough part for me. I mean, once I get the makeup on, I love playing it. And in about 4 hours, there's nothing left of Robert Englund. It's just this cantankerous guts named Fred Krueger.
Set in the fictitious town of Springwood, Ohio, but shot in and around the Los Angeles area, production kicks off in June. And from the start, it's clear that Wes Craven's baby is a rather unique beast.
In the 80s, we were in the middle of the slasher genre. The villains were faceless killers, usually with a knife. Robert Englund told me, we're not allowed to use the word slasher on set. Because it was something else. It was surreal. It was taking you into this dream world.
Getting into what I am calling the rubber reality, which is films that deal with the way that reality can be distorted, permeated, going into dream states, all sorts of strange illusions.
As an audience member, you never really know if you're in a nightmare or not.
Now, this happens very quickly in Nightmare on Elm Street with Amanda Weiss's character, Tina. She's in her high school hallway, and all of a sudden, here's a ghost. When you see that very early scene, you know that something is happening here that's different.
From the first moments Freddy slithers onto the screen, it is also evident that we are being treated to a very different kind of villain.
His first appearance, where he cuts off his own fingers. And just starts laughing and smiling. There's a malevolence to it that's different from other horror villains. He's not just going to kill you, he's going to enjoy killing you.
And spoiler alert, that's exactly what's going to happen to Tina, who becomes Krueger's first victim in the film.
Tina's death scene in the original Nightmare on Elm Street is incredible. She gets killed about 20 minutes in this horrific, brutal way.
She's at her most vulnerable. She's in a nightgown, and all of a sudden there's an unseen entity.
Franklin essentially sticks those nail finger claws right into her.
Tina goes rolling up the wall onto the ceiling. It's meant to be spectacular, and it is. You don't expect to see this kind of stuff in a low-budget horror movie.
So here's what's really scary. She's dead, boyfriend's looking at her, slash marks on her. Where'd that come from?
The whole rebel reality notion that is the backbone of this picture, you can see in that shot.
Freddy kills you in your dreams, but it still happening in real life.
Just how did the filmmakers create such an intense visual effect?
They actually had to create this revolving bedroom in order for the victim to appear like she was on the ceiling and walking on all the walls.
So when she's on the ceiling, the actress or stuntwoman was actually on the floor. There's another actor in the room that was basically glued down so he wouldn't fall up to the ceiling.
They had to strap in the furniture, everything in the room to make it appear as if the room was stationary.
But nothing comes cheap in Hollywood, and complex set pieces like the rotating room are part of why the film's original budget of $700,000 will actually run out right in the middle of production. Thankfully, at the last minute, New Line Cinema is able to secure at least $300,000 more in order to help execute special effects that will give the film its visual identity.
The first time to really get a good look at Freddy, he's got this huge outstretched arms. You know, Nancy sinking through the stairs, Freddy pushing through a wall.
What they did very cleverly was put in enough effects at appropriate moments that made a big impression, which gave the idea that, wow, this is a really huge special effects movie. They were very judiciously used.
So judiciously, in fact, that the effects crew reused the revolving room for another infamous death scene.
Johnny Depp's character is on his bed, he's fallen asleep, listening to music on his headphones, and suddenly this claw reaches up from the mattress and pulls him in.
Poor beautiful Johnny Depp. He just gets sucked into the bed. And you're like, oh my God, what happened?
Then again, what bed wouldn't want to eat Johnny Depp?
What happens next is even more horrifying. All of this blood just comes back up, gushes through the bed.
The geyser of blood that erupts, and it's way over the top.
What they actually did was that they just moved the revolving room upside down so that all the blood could come down from the ceiling, but make it appear as if it was actually coming up from under the bed.
They actually used 500 gallons of fake blood for that scene. It was so much blood that it shorted the electrical equipment on the set. It actually left Wes Craven, the cameraman, trapped upside down for half an hour.
There's a famous bathtub scene in the first Elm Street. Nancy is taking a bath. Not surprisingly, she nods off, and Freddy's glove emerges from the water with the claws.
They cut out the bottom of the tub and placed it on top of a waterproof wooden box where a man could be under the water in a scuba suit. That was Jim Doyle. And when Wes basically banged on the side of the tub, he would stick the glove out because he couldn't hear well in a scuba suit. So there was a lot of banging on the side of the tub, and then Jim Doyle would, and then Wes would be like, little to the left, and then he would do it again, little to the right. And so it was just endless, getting that shot perfect.
Once Nancy falls asleep for real, that's when Freddy makes his move.
It's a very safe place for most people, and it's a place they enjoyed since they were kids, taking a bath. And Wes decides to just ruin it for everybody in that scene.
There was, of course, that famous rhyme that we hear like a children's nursery.
1, 2, first come for you. 3, 4, better lock your door. 5, 6, hey, you gonna die!
7, 8, gonna stay up late. And we want to sing the rest of it because it's so scary.
It's time for the cast and crew to shoot the film's grand finale, where our young hero faces off with her nemesis.
Nancy comes up with this plan that she's holding him in her dream. When she wakes up, she can pull him out of the dream world into the real world, and she can fight him and potentially kill him. So she sets up this whole trial.
She shaves off the light bulb, and she puts gunpowder in one of the light bulbs, and she runs a wire to the on-off switch so that you can trip it and cause an explosion.
Wes Craven wanted Nightmare on Elm Street to end when Nancy finally turns her back on Freddy and realizes that without her giving him life, he's negated, he's powerless.
I take back every bit of energy I gave you. You're nothing.
What was supposed to be the ending was Nancy walks outside into the sunshine.
Right.
And she was going to walk away into the fog. So it would be green light.
The ending was a little bit ambiguous, and no one's quite sure if Nancy's still in her dream.
But the ending that makes it to the big screen will have an added twist to it. The classic horror movie Jump Scare, due to producer Robert Shaye's insistence.
A lot of movies at that time ended with last-minute shot. You thought the movie was over. Suddenly the villain popped up out of the ground or out of the water and cut to black.
Wes Craven did not want a jump scare at the end. He wanted it to be left open and mysterious. And so they sort of made this compromise that she'll drive off in this car and the hood of the convertible will come down and it's got Freddy stripes.
What's going on? I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. What's going on with the window?
And then as her mother is waving goodbye to her, Freddy reaches through the window of the front door and puts her inside.
I believe Wes Craven didn't like that because it negated everything that went before. He had built the picture to end with Nancy triumphing. It was all structured toward that revelation that if you don't feed your fears, they won't get you. And yet, Robert Shaye packs on an ending, and the fears get them. Well, hell yes, I'd be upset about it.
Regardless of the revised ending, audiences are sure to be shocked. And with shooting now wrapped, it won't be long before Craven unleashes Elm Street upon the unsuspecting masses. But will it be too much for them to handle?
Feeling Claritin Clear is like
Is she?
Claritin Clear.
Yeah.
Powerful allergy relief that won't make you drowsy. Live Claritin Clear.
Skincare can start in the laundry room. That's why I always recommend All Free Clear for sensitive skin. It's free of dyes and perfumes. It's a key part of my self-care routine. It's a clean that's gentle on my skin. For an effective clean that's gentle on skin, all you need is All Free Clear.
Things started off great, but once the new wore off,
They changed.
in the beginning, I got gifts, like the phone.
And then next thing you know, it's like I'm invisible.
So I switched up and got me a new phone carrier.
Don't put up with wireless yada yada. Now with Metro Flex, new and existing customers are treated the same. Free 5G phones when you join, same deals as new customers when you stay. Only at Metro.
Want the effect of Viagra, but faster? Meet Rose Sparks. They contain sildenafil and tadalafil, but Sparks dissolve under the tongue. Dissolvable work faster than old school pills. See if Sparks are right for you at ro.co/sparks.
I have PCOS. It can cause unexplainable weight gain. Having to go through Weight Watchers Clinic and now taking a GLP-1, you just feel that extra level of support. And I'm like 2 pounds away from my goal weight, which is like.
Sunlight trap attracts and traps flying insects without chemical insecticides. So no matter what the day cooks up for you, you're another product. Sunlight trap. Brix is too good. Cookie inside a candy bar? It's like a cookie in disguise.
Imagine one of our gangs in disguise.
I'll snap him.
There's more to Twix.
Alice loves the scent of Gain so much, she wished there was a way to make it last longer. Say hello to your fairy godmother, Alice, and long-lasting Gain scent beads, part of the irresistible scent collection from Gain.
Why do we accept waiting 2 weeks for payday? Thanks to Chime, I don't have to wait to get paid anymore. I couldn't believe it. I can get up to $500 of my pay on my schedule. There's no interest, no credit checks, no mandatory fees. Join me at chime.com and get paid when you say.
Hims was made for guys who want to see results. Whether it's for hair loss, weight loss, ED, or mental health. Get quality care from licensed providers 100% online and join the millions of guys who use Hims. Find the treatment that works for you.
Get started today at these.com.
Always dry scoop before you run. Listen to me. Hot dog diet got me shredded.
It's time we listen to science. One A Day is formulated with key nutrients to support whole body health. One A Day, science that matters.
Why do couples choose a Sleep Number smart bed? I need help with their snoring. Sleep Number does that. Thank you. Save 40% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add adjustable base. Shop now.
This is the moment to make this summer the summer. Drive home a new 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander or Outlander plug-in hybrid with 0% APR for 38 months. Plus 2,000 select inventory customer bonus cash. The moment is now.
The promises of trust not to be broken. Whether spoken with an oath or sealed with a pinky. In 1922, a group of soldiers launched USAA with a promise to take care of their own. And after 100 years, we're still taking care of the military community and their families. That's our mission, always.
November 9th, 1984, opening day for New Line Cinema's new horror mind vendor, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Made on a shoestring budget with a cast of mostly unknown actors and writer-director Wes Craven's career essentially on the line, it's time to see if this indie film will be able to find an audience.
Expectations were not that high for this film to translate into huge box office numbers. But what happened was that there was word of mouth. There was a great poster, a great trailer out for the film.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
There's something out there, isn't there? Whatever you do, don't fall.
The concept was so original. The character of Freddy Krueger was so tantalizing and terrifying that people just started to talk about this movie.
Fangoria was a magazine dedicated to gore. Cinefantastique was a magazine that was dedicated to taking the genre seriously. They both loved it.
Even the mainstream reviews were better for a horror film than most.
The film grosses $25.5 million domestically, making Elm Street a bona fide hit.
When we talk about success in Hollywood, we got to talk about return on investment. Nightmare was made for around $1 million. In terms of that, it was wildly successful.
Nightmare on Elm Street was New Line Cinema's first big hit.
New Line Cinema became known as the house that Freddy built. He's the one that gave them their financial foundation to go on and make bigger budgeted films and become even more successful.
New Line is now in the Freddy Krueger business, but before the first film is even completed, its creator would make a deal that he would ultimately regret by signing away all of his rights to the film and its characters.
Keep in mind, Wes Craven had not really made a picture for years. He was in pretty bad financial shape.
Craven had to sign the rights for sequels over to Shea, so Franchi was able then to go on and do subsequent Elm Street movies with or without Craven's approval or input.
Fans certainly are hungry for more as they rush back to theaters less than a year later to experience A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Freddy's Revenge.
Nightmare on Elm Street 2, there's some really interesting, inventive special effects. I'm using animals, like there's sort of these demonic creatures that live in Freddy's boiler room. And it dealt with the concept of Freddy trying to inhabit someone's body and turning the main character into Freddy.
Part 2 kind of abandoned the whole nightmare concept, and it wasn't that interesting.
You want to call it your Craven touch, whatever you want to call it. Didn't quite have that feeling.
Still, the sequel earns $30 million at the U.S. box office, surpassing the original. Keeping the momentum going in 1987, Part 3, Dream Warriors, is unleashed.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3 takes what's great about the original Nightmare on Elm Street and makes it bigger. It takes it to the next level.
Dream Warriors is considered one of the stronger sequels.
Wes Craven was involved. He wrote an early draft. They brought back Nancy. She's a therapist.
I used to be like them, Neil. I know what they're going through.
And she's a good therapist for these kids because she had the same problem they did.
Playing one of the teens, Kristen is an 18-year-old Patricia Arquette in her film debut.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3 was a huge hit. It was more successful than the first two. Freddy was known before that, but I think that's what made him huge in pop culture.
One night I opened up my door on Halloween night and there was a little Freddy Krueger in a costume. And I thought to myself, okay, he's got a Halloween costume now. That's pretty iconic.
Halloween season, just walking around in Freddy costumes, it was really quite remarkable.
The only person you wanted to be on Halloween was Freddy.
This is my first man. I made it myself. This whole thing on up. This is my claw.
It was a lot of fun, to play with the phenomenon of it all. And so I kind of owe Mr. Krueger.
Freddy Krueger is indeed now a household name, and while he's busy slashing through theaters, another emerging medium brings him literally into our living rooms.
Nightmare on Elm Street really took off for the same reason a lot of horror franchises at that time took off, and that's the advent of VHS. Teenagers didn't have to ask their moms for ID to go to the movie theater, and they could rent Nightmare on Elm Street. And that helped Freddy come into everybody's house in a way he never would have otherwise.
As the legacy and the terror grows at home, the franchise continues to flourish.
Nightmare on Elm Street 4 was huge at the box office. It was even bigger than Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
It was really an ascending kind of franchise.
I love playing Freddy once a year. It's fun.
As the sequels proceeded, Freddy was prone to telling more and more jokes.
Basically, you watch to see what is Freddy going to do. We had so much fan mail after the original Nightmare on Elm Street where people liked the personality.
I do remember he had some great lines. Like, his tabs were amazing.
Your big break in TV. That's the fun time. I want to draw some blood. Sorry, kid. I don't believe it. Very painful.
It was kind of cute and funny, and it made it more mainstream.
Listen, everybody enjoys watching someone who's good at their job. Not saying I like serial killers, but I do enjoy someone who excels at what they do.
He became maybe a little too much of a prankster, a little too much of a wisecracker. You could say we jumped the shark on it, but it was intentional.
Capitalizing on Krueger's over-the-top personality, the franchise even spawns its own television series. Freddy's Nightmare, which runs for 2 years in syndication starting in 1988, with England running the show as Freddy.
No, don't touch that guy. Here's what's on my mind tonight.
I feel like I've invented this guy and we've made him a worldwide phenomenon now. He's huge in Europe.
But back on the silver screen, a surprise is in store.
Part 5 came out, and it was a big drop-off, and suddenly they realized, this isn't going to last forever. So they did Part 6.
This will be the last one. We're going to put him to bed. Please put him to bed.
Freddy's Dead came out in the early 90s, and they decided to go out with a bang. The end of the movie was filmed in 3D. They had some big cameos. Alice Cooper, Roseanne, and Tom Arnold. Johnny Depp came back and did a cameo. This is your brain.
This is your brain on drugs.
As the title implies, Freddy actually does die in the 6th installment of the franchise, which leaves fans wondering, is the Nightmare on Elm Street saga officially over? Not if Wes Craven has anything to do with it.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bacon.
Rise and shine.
Wake up, the police.
With On Patrol Live.
You got extra donut? Cool.
Get your morning buzz with an On Patrol Live encore. Next, only on Reels.
Want the effect of Viagra, but faster? Meet Rose Sparks. They contain sildenafil and tadalafil, but Sparks dissolve under the tongue. Dissolvables work faster than most food pills. See if Sparks are right for you at ro.co/sparks.
This is too good. Cookie inside a candy bar? It's like a cookie in disguise.
Imagine one of our gangs in disguise.
There's more to Twix.
Always dry scoop before you run.
Listen to me. Hot dog diet got me shredded.
It's time we listen to science. One A Day is formulated with key nutrients to support whole body health. One A Day, science that matters.
Have you always had trouble losing weight and keeping up? Same.
Discover the power of Wegovy.
In the marching on to the beat I drum.
With Wegovy, I lost 35 pounds. And some lost over 46 pounds.
Wegovy. And I'm keeping the weight off.
Wegovy helps you lose weight and keep it off. I'm reducing my risk. Wegovy is the only FDA-approved weight management medicine that's proven to reduce risk of major cardiovascular events in adults with heart disease and obesity or overweight. Wegovy shouldn't be used with semaglutide or GLP-1 medicines. Don't take Wegovy if you or your family had medullary thyroid cancer, multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2, or if you're allergic to it. Stop Wegovy and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or an allergic reaction. Serious side effects may happen, including pancreatitis and gallbladder problems. Wegovy may cause low blood sugar, even with diabetes, especially if you take medicines to treat diabetes. Tell your provider about vision problems or changes, or if you feel your heart racing while at rest. Depression or thoughts of suicide may occur. Call your provider right away if you have any mental changes. Common side effects like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea may lead to dehydration, which may cause kidney problems.
With Wegovy,
I'm losing weight,
I'm keeping it off.
And I'm lowering my CV risk.
That's the power of Wegovy. Check your cost and coverage before talking to your healthcare professional about Wegovy.
This is a story about the one who keeps it all moving. He is measured, precise. He thinks ahead, stocks the right parts, and knows just where to find them. Because for the one, this facility is about more than business. The industrial grade products you need delivered fast. Call clickgranger.com or stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Stains happen to the best of us.
But Carl Lewis doesn't get tomato sauce on his jacket.
When they do, Tide's got you covered.
Looking good, man. Learned it from you.
It's got to be Tide. Be new all sensitive fresh. It's a game changer for me and my family.
Now all has a detergent that's gentle on skin and leaves our laundry smelling fleecy.
All sensitive fresh. When I laundry scent, my family loves.
Breathing Claritin Clear is like
Is he?
Claritin Clear? Yeah, fast relief of allergies with nasal congestion so you can breathe better. Claritin plus decongestant. Live Claritin Clear.
Comes to the late. Ovaries. 1994, it's been 10 years since audiences were first introduced to A Nightmare on Elm Street and its vile villain turned pop culture icon, Freddy Krueger. 5 sequels, 1 TV series, and countless Halloween masks later, the monster mega franchise has been a juggernaut. But when the film's producers killed off Freddy in Part 6, it seemed that the nightmare had officially ended. Or did it?
I thought the series was over when they released Freddy's Dead in 1991. I believed them that was it. And then it was announced that Wes Craven was coming back.
Came shortly after Bob Shea, who is the head of New Line Cinema, coming to me and saying, "Would you be interested in doing one more?"
New Line revived the Elm Street franchise, but with a different title. It was Wes Craven's New Nightmare.
And not only is Wes Craven coming back, Heather Langenkamp is coming back, and John Saxon is coming back, and obviously Robert Englund. It was a meta take where the actors were playing themselves.
You played that girl
in a movie
With the guy, with it. Robert Shea plays himself, Wes Craven plays himself, and God.
And they were all playing people who were making a horror.
I thought, wouldn't it be fascinating to do a film about us and about the fact that now that the series was stopped, the character was killed off, that whatever it was that Freddy originally stood for was somehow released. So it involved Freddy crossing over out of films into our reality.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare was critically loved, but it wasn't a huge success.
As the franchise goes dormant for the rest of the 1990s, Craven reinvents the horror genre once again, this time by directing the first 4 Scream films starting in 1996.
Let's do a slasher movie with characters who've seen slasher movies, they know all about it, they know the genre tropes, they know who's likely to die and who's not, and what are the things you shouldn't do if you don't want to die.
We're all the same. Some stupid killer stalking some big-breasted girl who is always running up the stairs when she should be going out the front door. It's insult.
Scream becomes an even larger success than the Nightmare films.
The Scream movies of the 90s and the early 2000s was kind of a second chapter for Wes Craven and his career.
And the director has his Elm Street roots in part to thank for that.
Scream really built on a lot of the foundations that Wes Craven developed in the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. All of those storylines that revolved around teenagers.
Why do you think you connect so well with an adolescent or a young audience?
Robert doesn't know.
It's now 2003, 9 years since Freddy Krueger last tore up the silver screen, and his next outing will be his most intense and lucrative yet.
Freddy vs. Jason, it was something that fans have been waiting for and asking for years, and I think the writers found a really smart way to bring Freddy and Jason together.
Yo, that is fire right there. It's Jay-Z and Kanye coming together and putting down something decent, man.
There's two fan bases who are going to be buying tickets to this, and you don't want to alienate either one. So there are really two battles in the film. The first one takes place in the dream world, and Freddy is clearly the victim in that.
Oh. Tilt. And they have one big fight sequence where they're in the real world. They're at Camp Crystal Lake, and that's where Jason has the advantage.
Kind of a tie, so both fan bases can go home and argue about who won.
And Freddy vs. Jason cemented Freddy's status in pop culture history even more. It elevated everyone.
It also elevated the franchise's box office to new heights.
Freddy vs. Jason was the highest grossing in the series. It made over 80 million domestically and 116 million worldwide.
7 years later, in 2010, a reboot of the original film is released, starring Jackie Earle Haley as Freddy and Rooney Mara as Nancy. And though it's a success, almost replicating Freddy vs. Jason's strong box office numbers, many purists aren't sold.
I think with the reboot, people did their best. Jackie Earle Haley gave it a good effort, but I think it struggles with not having Robert Englund as Freddy. There's an over-reliance on digital effects.
Craven is not involved in the reboot, but re-enters the public eye after directing Scream 4 in 2011. Sadly, it will be his final film as he succumbs to brain cancer in 2015 at age 76.
When Wes Craven died, not just horror movies, but the American cinema lost an innovator, somebody who was consistently interesting as a filmmaker and making horror a deeper experience with filmgoers.
He could do anything he wanted to do. He really could, but he was fascinated by what scares us.
Stories is an ancient device that human beings use instinctively to deal with scary things. And if there's something terrifying in life and it's captured into a character like Freddy Krueger, it's somehow more able to be processed and it allows us to go, on to the next day.
I think a huge part of the success of The Nightmare on Elm Street is because of the concept. It was something that no one had really dreamed up before in quite the way that he did.
Nightmare on Elm Street took the slasher film and made it psychological.
Texas Chainsaw, Mike Myers, Friday the 13th. We get it. You're a serial killer. You're deranged. Let's step it up a notch. Let's kill you inside your own head. Yo, that's next level, man.
You don't know whether the characters on the screen are supposed to be in a real situation or they're in a dream situation. That's brilliant to me, and that brilliance still holds up.
And the character of Krueger was memorable. Freddy Krueger gave me the creeps.
Just the outfit alone.
All of these little pieces really make him who he was. He's an iconic character.
Some of the Freddy so-called Clint Eastwood lines or whatever you want to call them became things that kids would say in school and you hear them on talk shows.
Even on Halloween night, you still see people dressed up as that horrible figure.
There's still, bobbleheads and figurines and T-shirts. People love him. Freddy is still as popular as he ever was.
Robert Englund was buried under a few inches of prosthetics or whatever, but he creates an impression that sticks with you after the films are gone. That's the side of a really great actor.
If I have to take credit for anything, it would be that silhouette maybe, and the body language. That's what I boy.
And the films continue to live on. It has so many iconic phrases. Not only do you have the character, you have the signature theme song.
It changed the game forever.
Those dark nights when people just don't have it, fake or whatever. It created something that's more around there. It's not bad.
As for the future of Freddy, fans are clamoring for another installment to the Elm Street series. Though with England stating he's done playing his classic role, and without Wes Craven, of course, it might be tricky to pull off.
If there is another Elm Street come along, it's going to depend a great deal on the writing, because that was one of Craven's trademarks. His films were character-driven, fascinating characters.
And one of the keys to bringing back a franchise is if there's a central character that's real identifiable, who's going to be Fred Krueger? What are they going to do with the glove? And are the fingers going to be even longer and scarier? And what kind of new dreams can they come up with? So I think there's always going to be a potential there.
news at 6, followed by World News Tonight. WRTV investigates, covering stories that mean something, stories that impact lives, from a team of award-winning and committed journalists. Email your tips to investigates@WRTV.
Small businesses are getting a huge boost thanks to our sponsor, Amazon Business, which is basically everything you know and love about Amazon just for businesses, providing educational resources and grants to help small businesses grow and make a big impact in their local communities. Amazon Business awarded more than $475,000 to 29 recipients since the program started. And joining us now is one of the semifinalists, Elise Lampkin. Welcome. So, Little Sippers is such a great idea, and I heard it came to you after your second child. Can you tell us about that?
First, let me tell you what Little Sippers is. It's a color-changing baby bottle, right?
Okay.
So it lets you know if the temperature is right inside for your child to consume. So my son was born in May 2021, and, you know, I had all these bright ideas, 4 o'clock in the morning while I was feeding him one night. And it kind of came to me, like, why isn't there like an indicator, right? Why doesn't it tell you if it's the safe temperature for your child to consume? So I looked it up. There was nothing at the time. Couldn't believe that there was nothing at the time, right? And about a year later, we started production. A Little Sippers was born.
See, I didn't have those ideas at 4 a.m. I should have tried harder. Now, let's show everyone how this works.
Sure. So any preferred liquid of your choice, right? And then you're going to see over 85 degrees temperature.
Okay.
That the line will disappear, right? It turns completely white. So it lets you know it's the perfect temperature. Now, this is telling you it's too hot at the moment, right? So that lets you know it's going to be too hot for the baby, right? Definitely, because this is hot water. So there's over 1,000 cases of babies being injured going to the ER because of just milk that was too hot for them to consume.
It's such an affordable problem. Oh my God.
Definitely. So we want to make sure that safety is first in this product. And that's why I made it for my son. And I made it for all the little boys and girls out there.
That's so great. Small businesses are obviously the backbone of any economy, and every dollar or minute you can save is so critical for growth. We mentioned earlier that Amazon Business is giving grants to small businesses and entrepreneurs making an impact across the country. Since you are a finalist, what will you use the money for?
Sure. So thank you, Amazon Business, for the grant, first of all. And we have 2 things that we really want to focus on. It's inventory, so we can bring inventory to all the customers out there, all the moms and dads, right? So we want to really meet minimum order requirements with our suppliers, and that really helps inject some capital into our business like mine. And secondly, we want to work on marketing, because it doesn't matter how great your product is, if nobody knows it exists, right? It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's really the 2 things that we really want to focus on, and it's been a wonderful, great opportunity. Thank you, Amazon Business, again, for the grant.
Well, congratulations. Thank you for being here.
A big thank you to our sponsor, Amazon Business, and a big congratulations on everything else.
We'll be right back.
Hey, Blue. Cool leg warmers.
Thanks. They're just for the bus ride to work. They're not part of the official uniform.
No tunes today?
No. My apartment was robbed last night. Took my cable-ready TV, VCR, portable cassette player.
Yep, all the latest tech.
If only Progressive had renter's insurance, like their home insurance.
Then we can bundle our cars and get the same 24/7 protection. I think we just invented that. This is the best day ever.
Well, I still got robbed.
Oh, pretty good day.
Strong enamel is your best defense against acid erosion and cavities. That's why I recommend the Enamel Active Shield, because it will strengthen your enamel and create that shield around it. I'm excited for this product. I think patients are really going to like it.
I love that my daughter still needs me, but sometimes I can't help due to burning and stabbing pain in my hands. So I use Nervive.
Nervive's clinical dose of ALA reduces nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days.
Now I can help with it. Feel the difference with Nervive. Grit, guts, glory. You've got some winning genes. Find out what you're made of with Ancestry DNA. And for a limited time, you can see how your genes stack up against world-class athletes, or even your trash-talking cousin Brad. See which athletic traits are built into your DNA and the people you share them with. So get on your mark and get set for the sale of the summer before Brad beats you to it.
You're feeding my granddog Blue, right?
3-in-1.
Who's got T-bone chicken? Chicken meal, ground rice, oatmeal, barley.
3-in-1 has chicken, rice flour, corn gluten meal, whole grain corn, chicken byproduct meal.
Sister Blue.
Struggling with moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis? Talk to your doctor about #1 prescribed Entyvio, offering 2 maintenance options, including the Entyvio pen. Infusion and serious allergic reactions can happen during or after treatment. Entyvio may increase risk of infection, which can be serious. PML, a rare, potentially fatal brain infection, cannot be ruled out. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, sores, or are prone to infections. Liver problems can occur. Entyvio, relief, remission for real.
Did you know your skin barrier is more receptive to skincare at night? Olay Super Serum Night Repair delivers 5 benefits in 1. Visibly renewing surface skin cells while you sleep. You'll see visible results in 7 nights. Olay.
First you hear it, then you feel it. That's the crunchy, melt in your mouth feeling of Ritz toasted chips.
That's crazy. You guys see this?
You realize some home maintenance jobs aren't worth the risk.
That's what we call a leaf filter to protect our gutters.
Leaf Filter's patented filter technology keeps debris out of your gutters for good, guaranteed. Call 833 Leaf Filter or visit leaffilter.com.
It started. It's the side hug. Tween milestones like this may start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own, but for others, it can cause certain cancers later in life. Now, as the dad cab, it's my cue to help protect them.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next. Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination.
Here he goes. Let's Hester. Touchdown, Andre Johnson. Chicago Bears select Caleb Williams. What a throw by Stroud.
Tomorrow, former Mayor Pete Buttigieg talks about being the driving force behind the Harris presidential campaign by calling out the former president's record.
Mine was up under Donald Trump.
His VP pick, J.D. Vance,
And just like systematically assaulted so many people.
and bringing his receipts to conservative audiences.
I don't know how often that gets reported on this network.
So here is some really great news. Before we go, a senior administration official reports that the U.S. and Russia have agreed to a prisoner exchange to release American captive Evan Gerskovich and Napoleon Wheeler. And they are on their way back home. Wow. They are on their way back home. So, hey, miracles can happen. So we want you to remember to have a great day. Everyone take a little time to enjoy the view. And this is my last show for the year.
Oh, if you feel if your injury case settled for $5,000 and later found out that your case was really worth $200,000, not all lawyers are the same, and the insurance companies know it. Some lawyers are happy with tiny checks, but not Ken Nunn. Ken Nunn is a real Indiana fighter who always fights for the big check. Just remember, the lawyer who cuts corners can end up costing you a lot of money. Call Ken Nunn.
Over $1 billion collected for our clients.
Attention, if you have Medicaid and live in Indiana and need assistance with daily living, you can receive a 100% free service and get help in the comfort of your own home by a loved one. Call Freedom Care now so you can receive daily help preparing meals, bathing, doing laundry, receiving transportation, and more. All done by a family member or friend that lives with you and gets paid to be your caregiver. You get to decide who provides your care, and your caregiver gets paid weekly. It's all funded by Medicaid and available for all ages who meet Medicaid eligibility and program requirements. The Freedom Care family will explain the process, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. Freedom Care is a leading choice for home care in Indiana and has received over 5,000 five-star reviews. They've been helping families for years. This service is 100% free to you through Medicaid. So call right now and see how fast you can get started with Freedom Care.
So why not? It's nice to get out of the studio to meet up with the people that we're delivering stories to and telling stories about. It really allows us to connect with our viewers and the people who are making this such a great place.
From Indie streaming news leader, this is WRTV News at Noon, streaming now.
Good afternoon, and thanks for being here with us on this Thursday. I'm Mark Mullen. It is a Storm Team Alert Day. Meteorologist Kyle Mounds is tracking the possibility of severe weather this afternoon. Kyle.
Yeah, Mark, we had some showers move through parts of central Indiana, even a couple of rumbles of thunder earlier today. But later this afternoon, we're going to be watching again, as you mentioned, the chance for some additional storms. Right now, just a couple of showers there around Liberty and Richmond, and we've got a couple more that have started to pop up here around Frankfort and near Kokomo. But it's actually off to the west. We're starting to see this line try and get organized a little more back into portions of Illinois and slide our direction. So we'll be watching that. Still, the Storm Prediction Center has much of central Indiana under that slight risk of severe weather. So that's at level 2 out of 5. Primary threat would be some gusty winds out of those thunderstorms this afternoon. Also possibly some heavy rainfall. But the rain that moved through earlier today left some cloud cover behind. It's going to be a factor of how much sunshine we see as to how strong those storms can get. Right now, as we look out over Greencastle, we do see some blue sky. Temperatures already in the 80s in Lafayette and Indianapolis and Bloomington there. This afternoon, those scattered storms returning as we approach the evening rush hour.
Kyle, thank you. Now to a major development in international relations. The United States and Russia have completed their biggest prisoner swap in post-Soviet history, with Moscow releasing journalist Evan Dershkovich and fellow American Paul Whelan in a multinational deal that set some 24 people free. Dershkovich is a reporter for the Wall Street Journal arrested by Russian authorities in March of 2023. Russian authorities charged Dershkovich of espionage, a charge both he and the U.S. denied. Dershkovich faced a 3-day trial in Moscow 2 weeks ago and was found guilty, sentenced to 16 years in a Russian prison. Paul Whelan is a former Marine arrested while traveling in Russia in 2018. He was also charged with espionage, convicted in 2020, and sentenced to 16 years in prison. Whelan, the Biden administration, and the Trump administration denied the allegations from Russian authorities. The president is set to address the nation at any time about this new development. We will bring that to you when it happens. Well, students at one of the largest school districts in the state are back in school this noon. It is the first day of class for IPS. We were at Arsenal Tech High School as the students arrived today. This year, IPS is fully implementing its Rebuilding Stronger plan. Families can expect changes to grade configurations, expanding popular programs and models, and renovations and improvements to buildings. The district hired a new director of safety and security. IMPD Commander Ida Williams brings 35 years of law enforcement experience to the position. A new school year is an adjustment for students and teachers. WRTV's Griffin Gonzalez sat down with one North Central teacher to hear how he and his colleagues are preparing for another school year.
We'll just have to figure it out as we go.
Mr. Data is putting up the finishing touches on his classroom before he starts his 25th year of teaching on Thursday.
I think it comes a little easier with knowing, what to do on the first day.
Over the past quarter century, a lot has changed, but many things do remain the same.
It seemed like things were slower back in the old days when I started in 2000. Everything now is much more, go, go, go. I tell the kids all the time, I've seen this, just different names and people in the past 25 years. So it's same overall issues.
It's a challenging job, According to a survey from the National Education Association, more than 55% of their educators said that they are ready to leave the profession earlier than planned. Many say it's due to salaries. Gata feels it's due to an evolving classroom.
It's been a lot of change because my grade book used to be a notebook and now it's instantly online. So there's good and bad with that.
Now he and his colleagues face one of their biggest challenges yet, enforcing a new state law limiting a high schooler's phone usage. At North Central, it's up to the individual teachers.
Like everybody's got their phone in their hand, so I mean, it's going to be tough, but I'll live. I think social media and cell phone use and just the immediacy of everything.
The first day of school always offers students a new perspective. It invites new goals alongside months of unknowns. 25 years later, Mr. Gata is still enjoying his annual fresh start.
You can always kind of reinvent yourself. Even at the semester, you kind of get a little chance to change things up. But every year is a new start, and that's kind of fun.
A new beginning for students and their teachers. Roaming the halls of North Central High School, Griffin Gonzalez, WRTV.
The president of Purdue says Hoosier students could have a hard time getting into the university if proposed changes to high school diploma requirements are approved. A public comment period on a draft of the plan just ended yesterday. It would create 2 diploma options instead of the 3 currently available, eliminating what's known as the academic honors diploma. In a letter to the Department of Education, the president of Purdue says that diploma sets up students for success in higher education. He is concerned that neither of the proposed new diplomas would meet Purdue's requirements for math, lab sciences, social studies, or world language. So are parents.
If you can't get into, Purdue, IU, Notre Dame, and schools like that, then the competitive, Ivy League, Harvard, Princeton, you're definitely out. And you know what? That's going to affect our economy and the people who are coming into our state.
Neither of the proposed new diplomas require that students take the SAT or the ACT to graduate. The Department of Education says it will revise its diploma proposal after they get feedback from schools and universities across the state. The new requirements need to be finalized by the end of the year, and those changes would go into effect July 1st, 2025. Loved ones are mourning the loss of an IU student after he reportedly drowned at Lake Tahoe. According to the Carson City, Nevada Sheriff's Office, 20-year-old Owen McDonough was swimming with friends and was overcome by rough waters. He was not wearing a life jacket. IU's hockey team posted on X saying McDonough helped with pregame, postgame, and intermission shows. Indianapolis agencies and local party promoters are looking for ways to keep parties and big gatherings safe. This week, Radio 1, IMPD, the Indianapolis Fire Department, and city officials met with party and event promoters to discuss the appropriate ways to promote events in the Circle City. Promoters learned about safety plans and restrictions that come with temporary alcohol permits. The goal is to prevent violence that law enforcement has had to respond to at illegally run events.
First thing you need to do is get with established promoters to understand what it looks like. What are some of the liabilities? If someone shot at your party, there's a lot of liability that comes with that. Not to mention the criminal prosecution that can come from it. So we want people to be safe, and we want people to do it in the right way.
Organizers say they hope to host more educational events like this in the future. This weekend, 70,000 people are expected to attend Gen Con in downtown Indianapolis. Drivers who use the lot south of Lucas Oil Stadium are worried after their spots moved to the zoo overflow lot a mile and a half away. However, parking company Gate 10 said the zoo is an expansion lot, not a replacement. Gen Con veterans say try and leave your car out of downtown if you can. By the way, the convention lasts until Sunday. And now at noon, the Indiana State Fair just announced legendary classic rock band Foghat will now serve as the headliner on opening night on the Hoosier Lottery 3 stage tomorrow. The originally scheduled Three Dog Night have had to postpone several of their current shows, including their Indianapolis appearance. Foghat is known for the timeless classic rock hits Slow Ride and Fool for the City. The Indiana State Fair opens tomorrow and it runs through the 18th. Now, just ahead on WRTV News, the likelihood of meeting face-to-face on the debate stage, what we're hearing about the Trump-Harris showdown, and a look at the role debates played in previous elections. Also ahead, the rising cost of coffee. The cost is at a 13-year high, and the reason centers around a hot topic. And Mark, we are again going to be tracking some scattered showers and thunderstorms across central Indiana this afternoon. That rain chance is going to carry here into our Friday for the end of the week. But what about the weekend? We'll break it down for you. You're watching WRTV News at Noon.
I remember Linda. She is the linchpin of her family. If they called and needed to go somewhere, I said, well, let me get my keys. When an accident happens, you want somebody who listens, who understands what happens after it happens, hence what happens.
Create your perfect room for entertaining, relaxing, and more with patio enclosures. Right now, get 20% off your sunroom. Plus, enjoy exceptional financing. Call today.
It's time to play Covert Symphony on the Prairie Trivia for a chance to win a family 4-pack of tickets to see Arrival from Sweden, the music of ABBA, Friday, August 9th. Scan the code, choose your answer, and you could win.
Catch the sounds of summer as Kroger Symphony on the Prairie presents Arrival from Sweden, the music of ABBA, August 9th at Conner Prairie. Dance, jive, and have the time of your life. Tickets at IndianapolisSymphony.org.
You get hurt in a car accident and you're mad at the insurance company. They're trying to get you to take a tiny check.
Don't get mad. Call Ken Nunn. Ken Nunn can help get the money you deserve.
The money you really deserve.
Call me. It's just that easy.
Call 1-800-CALL-KEN. 40 years of B-Window.
And 80,000 Indiana homes, windows, doors, siding, and that.
Pam and I are happy to announce B's 100 employees now own B-Window, and Patrick Renard will lead B as CEO.
And B will continue the customer-first feeling that George and Pam built. And to celebrate B employee-owned, B's offered employee pricing 60% off, plus 18 months, no interest, no payment.
Everyone thinks that when you call an attorney that's all you're getting.
They were there for me all the time.
We don't do that here at Hensley. We need everyone to be all in.
I was very happy with Hensley.
What happens after it happens?
Hensley happened.
All right. Give it, sir. What are you going to do when Christina tries to take our baby?
He's going to have a total meltdown.
You out. There's an accident. General Hospital on ABC.
Will former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris actually debate? With less than 100 days until Election Day, right now it's unclear. And as our Joe St. George explains, the fact the Presidential Debate Commission is not involved in the process this year is creating some extra uncertainty.
The biggest question in American politics right now is who will Vice President Kamala Harris select as her running mate? However, the second biggest question may be whether or not there will be a Harris-Trump debate this fall. Some states begin early voting next month, and that question right now remains unanswered. June's presidential debate proved to be one of the most consequential debates in history, prompting questions about President Biden's candidacy, questions that ultimately resulted in a change at the top of the ticket. So, will there be another presidential debate? Initially, President Biden and former President Trump agreed to a September 10th debate hosted by ABC News. Once Biden left the race and Vice President Harris became the face of the Democratic ticket, Trump's firm commitment became more uncertain.
If you got something to say,
On the campaign trail in recent days, Harris has attacked Trump for not firmly committing. On Fox News, Trump seemed to indicate some willingness to participate, but also left the door open to not debating.
The answer is yes, but I can also make a case for not doing it.
This year's fall presidential debate calendar is more uncertain than previous years because the nonpartisan Presidential Debate Commission is no longer organizing and hosting after opposition from the campaigns. Individual television networks are pitching debates themselves to the candidates.
It would be almost unheard of should he not at least agree to one debate.
Susan McManus is a Scripps News political analyst. She suspects there will be at least one debate, but cautions Trump must feel that the event is at least fair to him. Presidential debates, of course, aren't required. After John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon debated in 1960, it was 16 years before another presidential debate occurred. McManus suspects the Trump campaign is using these first few weeks of the Harris campaign to understand what kind of a presidential candidate she is. Or they commit.
There's no question about it. The campaign has to be concerned that she's much more comfortable on the campaign stage than she has been as VP.
Joe St. George, Scripps News, Washington.
Remember, at Scripps News, reporting your headlines without bias matters. You can find Scripps News on your favorite streaming app shown on your TV screen there or on your TV. Just check your local listings.
When we get to the beautiful summer weather, us Hoosiers love to get outside, soak up every ounce of that sunshine. During the weekend, so many people focus with outdoor activities on that forecast. Forecasting thunderstorms can be challenging. They can just bubble up in that heat of the afternoon. One area could be rained out, while another area is enjoying a beautiful Saturday afternoon. I played Little League, and so I know how getting that forecast right matters.
I wanted more.
More.
Way more.
A lot of money.
I called Keller & Keller, an experienced law firm that gets results.
A good lawyer shouldn't cost you more.
They should get you more.
If you've been injured in an accident, call 1-800-2-KELLER. Keller & Keller.
It's hot and you need a pool from Family Leisure. Make a splash this summer. Great deals on all in-stock pools. Check out our extensive pool line. See it live before you buy. Free upgraded pool packages as well as installation specials. It's hot and you need a pool. Stop by Family Leisure today.
At Long John Silver's, the real treasure is our thin, flaky Alaskan fish, hand-dipped in our signature batter. Get a basket with our new crispy waffle fries for just $6. Make our app the first spin and order ahead to skip the wait. Long John Silver's Fish It.
This is the moment to make this summer the summer in a new 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander or Outlander plug-in hybrid at Tom Roush Mitsubishi. With its premium interior, 2 years limited maintenance included, super all-wheel control, and an industry-leading warranty. Drive home with 0% APR for 48 months, plus 0 down payment. The moment is now at Tom Roush Mitsubishi.
The True Comfort membership plan, at its core, is our way to create relationships with our clients for life. For HVAC, we come out 2 separate visits. For plumbing, we come out once a year.
It's a full client experience, not just a service call. We believe that maintenance is absolutely critical to doing the right thing. The True Comfort membership is fantastic because it's peace of mind that you know you have to think about.
Motorcycle accidents can happen fast. I wasn't going to take a chance on my future.
I wanted all the money I deserved.
You'll need somebody who knows motorcycle. Call 1-800-2-KELLER. Keller & Keller. They got me way more than I thought I'd get.
Cancer has traditionally been thought of as a disease that affects older generations, but a new study suggests that more than a dozen cancer types are striking more young adults. The researchers of the American Cancer Society found that those born between the years 1965 and 1996 have a higher risk of developing 17 out of 34 cancer types studied when compared to older generations. And that includes breast, pancreatic, and gastric cancers. Death rates in this younger age group are also higher for liver cancer in women, uterine, gallbladder, testicular, and colorectal cancers.
It's important to know we don't have, a so-called, a silver bullet. So exactly what's going on here.
And that's why experts say more research is needed to find the cause and rising rates of certain cancers in younger adults. For now, researchers say those known as Generation X and Millennials should be aware and stay vigilant. Well, time now for a consumer alert from the Better Business Bureau. That organization reports fake emails about trademarks or patents are landing in mailboxes of small business owners. Here's how it works. A small business will get an email saying someone else is trying to register with their information for a trademark or a patent, or they have incomplete information. The email says if this is not corrected quickly, you could face a fine.
So in this situation, you just don't want to fall for it. Don't be alarmed. Reach out to a trusted trademark attorney. You can find that on bbb.org.
Again, the best advice is to pause and try not to react quickly. Scammers threaten you in order to get you to act fast, so you are more likely to fall for the scam. Coffee is getting more expensive, and climate change is partly to blame. Last month, the International Coffee Organization reported prices hit a 13-year high, averaging $2.27 per pound. Roasters and coffee experts signal that it could stay that way for a while thanks to climate change. Coffee is more sensitive to changes in temperatures than other crops. Meanwhile, Starbucks lovers won't see a higher price tag just yet. The company buys coffee far in advance using fixed price contracts. We want to bring you the president's remarks regarding the exchange of prisoners from Russia. Let's listen in. President Biden is speaking now.
Absolutely no legitimate reason whatsoever. None. Paul, a former Marine, was in Russia for a wedding. Evan, a journalist, Russian, in Russia, was in Russia, signed by the Wall Street Journal. Also a journalist, was in Russia to see family. All three falsely accused of being spies. Vladimir is a Russian citizen by birth, holds an American green card. The Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and was pallbearer of my friend John McCain's funeral with me. He spoke out against Putin's regime. For that, he was convicted of treason. And now, their brutal ordeal is over, and they're free. Moments ago, families and I were able to speak to them on telephone from the Oval Office. They're out of Russia. Earlier today, they were flown to Turkey. Soon, they'll be wheels up on their way home to see their family. This is an incredible relief for all the family members gathered here. It's a relief to the friends and colleagues all across the country who have been praying for this day for a long time. The deal that made this possible was a feat of diplomacy and friendship. Multiple countries helped get this done. They joined a difficult, complex negotiation at my request. I personally thank them all again. I thank them personally, and I thank them again. All told, Russia has released 16 prisoners. 8 Russians who are being held in the West will be sent home as well. These 16 prisoners from Russia that Russia has released include 4 Americans, 5 Germans, 7 Russian citizens who are political prisoners in their own country. One of those Russians runs a human rights organization, Memorial, which won a Nobel Prize in 2022. Putin threw him in prison, voicing opposition to the war in Ukraine. 4 others worked with Alexei Navalny, political opposition leader who died in Russian prison this year. Now, they can live safely abroad and continue their work of advocating for democracy, if they so choose. This deal would not have been made possible without our allies. Germany, Poland, Slovenia, Norway, and Turkey, they all stepped up and they stood with us. They stood with us. And they made bold and brave decisions. Released prisoners being held in their countries who were justifiably being held. Provided logistical support to get the Americans home. So for anyone who questions whether allies matter, they do. They matter. Today is a powerful example of why it's vital to have friends in this world. And friends you can trust, work with, and depend upon. Especially in matters of great consequence and sensitivity like this. Our alliances make our people safer. We began to see that again today. Let me say this. It says a lot about the United States that we work relentlessly to free Americans who are unjustly held around the world. It also says a lot about us that this deal includes the release of Russian political prisoners. They stood up for democracy, human rights. Their own leaders stood them in prison. The United States helped secure their release as well. That's who we are in the United States. We stand for freedom, for liberty, for justice, not only for our own people, but for others as well. And that's why all Americans can take pride in what we've achieved today. I want to thank everyone in my administration who helped make this happen. Our work did not start just on day one. It started before day one. During the transition, I instructed our national security team to dig into all the cases of hostages being wrongfully detained, which were inherited from the prior administration. We wanted to make sure we hit the ground running. We did. As of today, my administration brought home over 70 Americans who were wrongfully detained and held hostage abroad. Many since before I took office. In addition, I issued an executive order in 2022 authorizing penalties like travel bans for those who hold Americans against their will. My State Department has introduced new warnings for Americans about the risk of being wrongfully detained by a foreign government. Deals like this one come with tough calls, with never any guarantees. There's nothing that matters more to me than protecting America at home and abroad. So we'll continue to work for the release of all wrongfully detained Americans around the world. Let me end where I began, with Paul, Evan, Alice, Vladimir, and their family. They never gave up hope. I can't imagine what they've been through. Matter of fact, staying right here, I think, in the overall. All kidding aside, can't imagine their joy right now. They're home. Tomorrow's a big day. The 13th birthday of Miriam. You all know we have a tradition in the Biden family. We sing happy birthday. Happy birthday. You ready? All here. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear you. Happy birthday to you. Remember, those Sue's birthday. God love you. She's all Sue's daughter. Now she gets to celebrate with her mom. That's what this is all about. Families. Able to be together again. Like they should have been all along. Just want to thank you again to everyone who did their part. In just a few hours, we'll welcome home our fellow Americans. We're looking forward to that. God willing, we're going to be out at Andrews and get that done. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And this is a good day.
What did you say on the phone, sir? What did you say when they answered the phone on the other side?
I said, welcome almost home.
These so-called abductor states, you said we're taking more Americans in order to get more of their prisoners home. How do you end these perverse incentives?
Or advising people not to go certain places. Tell them what's at risk, what's at stake.
Negotiation, speak to the complexity of working with 6 countries to support it.
Well, look, I'm not going to take the time now, but I'll do this later in the week. I particularly own a great sense of gratitude to the Chancellor. The demands they're making of me required me to get some significant concessions from Germany, which they originally concluded they could not do because of the person in question. But everybody stepped up. Poland stepped up, Slovenia stepped up, Turkey stepped up. And it matters to have relationships. It really does. These things matter. Pardon me?
Could this improve relations with Russia? Is there any avenue for that after this prisoner exchange deal?
As my sister might say, your lips to God's ears, man.
Would you be willing to speak with Putin on the record?
I don't need to speak with them. Anyway.
What happened the way that this is
Got home innocent people. All right.
President Biden making those remarks from the White House.
There's not spoken all of it. By the way, your father, look, let me say this before. For me, there's a simple proposition. Family's the beginning, middle, and the end. Blood of my blood, bone of my bones. I mean this sincerely. A different way, not knowing what's happening, circumstances of accident, health, it matters.
Mr. President, what did Germany ask for in response to their cooperation? President President Trump said that he couldn't document messages out without giving in exchange. What do you say to that? What do you say to President Trump?
Why didn't he do it, Mr. President?
Okay, forgive me for the interruption earlier. President Biden sometimes has a tendency to walk away from the microphone, then walk back to it to answer some questions there. But as you saw, the president joined by the family members of those 4 Americans who are now coming home. That included the family of Paul Whelan, Evan Gershkovich. And also you saw there that moment, the daughter of Alsu Kermosheva, the president asking everyone in the room to sing her happy birthday for her mother now coming home after this historic prisoner exchange. Let's go back to our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce, because Mary, there are a number of things that the president outlined here and very much highlighting the feat of diplomacy and friendship, touting the importance of our allies and good relationships around the world.
With the president stressing, this is why allies matter. The president working very closely with those other countries to get this across the finish line. And the president recognizing, look, these were bold decisions, difficult decisions to bring these people home. Of course, 16 individuals held in Russia are now being freed. The president noting some of them are Russian political prisoners. Russia, in exchange, then releasing 8 individuals that were held by the U.S., Germany, Norway, Slovenia, and Poland. But it is really remarkable, the president saying that this speaks to the importance of diplomacy and friendship. Of course, at the end, he was asked about the fact that Donald Trump has claimed that he could have done this without, releasing anyone in exchange. And he, said there pointedly, well, then why didn't we do it? The president stating very bluntly, one is true, that this is a good day. He said that he was able to get on the phone in the Oval Office with the families as they were finally able to speak to their loved ones, as they are now returning home. The president's message to them, a simple one: welcome almost home.
Mary Bruce, thank you. Let's bring in Tom Supi-Burrich, who is following this from overseas. And Tom, we mentioned the unprecedented nature of this, the largest prisoner swap since the Cold War. 24 people at least involved. And we know one of them, a Russian who is held in Germany, accused of murdering someone on the streets there, an accused assassin. There will be questions moving forward about whether or not this was an even exchange, and does this only encourage Russia to take more Americans into custody to use as leverage pieces for negotiations going forward?
Yeah, and I think U.S. officials today have told us that difficult decisions had to be made. There was a trade-off here. Yes, 16 individuals were released from Russian prisons, but 8 had to come out of European and American prisons, including 3 out of U.S. custody, including the son of a Russian lawmaker involved in a mass fraud scheme, also a Russian businessman involved in a $93 million scheme to hack into American corporations for his own profit, and also a Russian intelligence officer. We're now hearing fascinating details. This individual was accused and convicted of tapping into supplying potentially sensitive American electronic hardware and ammunition, which Russia potentially was going to use for its war in Ukraine. So there is a trade-off. And yes, the key individual was Vadim Krasikov. He's been held here in Germany. He assassinated a Chechen rebel in broad daylight 5 years ago in a park just over there in Berlin. And he was the key individual that Vladimir Putin wanted out. It had to happen. The White House U.S. officials say it was not an easy thing to convince the Germans, and that's why you're seeing a significant number. 5 of the 16 are German citizens that are being freed today.
Tom Supi-Burrich, thank you. We know for the families involved, this has been an agonizing wait as these negotiations played out behind the scenes. We want to play a clip of an interview from back in March. Our George Stephanopoulos spoke with Evan Gershkovich's family about the 1-year anniversary from the time that he was taken into custody. Let's listen.
What's the first thing you're going to do when he comes home?
I don't even know. I just want to let him out anywhere for several days at least.
Well, that is what they were hoping for months ago, and that is what's going to happen as these Americans make their way back home. ABC's Patrick Revel is joining us now. Patrick, I know you've been in touch with the family members, with friends and colleagues. What are you hearing from them today?
Hi, Rick. Yeah, I mean, this is just such an extraordinary and wonderful moment, obviously, for the families. As President Biden said, ultimately, this is about families reuniting them, seeing the relatives there on stage. I saw the sister of Paul Whelan was standing on the stage there, Elizabeth. I know from meeting her over the years just how much she has lobbied, how hard she's lobbied to get her brother home over this appalling ordeal that lasted 5 years. Also saw, of course, the parents there of Evan standing with the president. This is a moment that they've been dreaming of. I think it's important to say Evan was very well known to the media community in Moscow. I knew him personally there when I was working there. had many friends among the journalists there. He was known as an incredibly committed journalist, someone who believed that it was crucial that the world understand Russia during the war in Ukraine. He chose to go back there, even though most Western journalists had decided it was too dangerous to go there after the war. He paid a terrible, unjust price going there and being arrested on a reporting trip. And Paul Whelan as well, I remember covering his arrest all the way back in 2018. And then in 2020, I spoke to him from a prison camp there, where he described the conditions, saying, Dickensian, that he was trapped on bunks with just many other prisoners in this form of gulag. So it's just a huge moment. We've also got a statement from the Whelan family, from his twin brother David, who for many years has just been putting out statements almost weekly, so trying to update people on Paul's conditions. Finally, he's saying he is free. He's saying now that they want privacy, that Paul will receive support from the US government, as other hostages have in the past. That is what we've seen previously when Vicky Griner was free, when Trevor Reed was free. They underwent counseling at a military base down in Texas. They were given support for counseling. But I think much of the celebration will only begin once these people are back on American soil with them.
And Patrick, that's why there was so much anxiety this morning when we were getting reports of this possible exchange, with the families holding on tight, wanting to make sure that this actually went through and was successful with everyone safe. Patrick, thank you so much. We do also have a statement here from Vice President Kamala Harris, now the presumptive Democratic nominee. She writes, in part, "It gives me great comfort to know that their horrible ordeal is over and that they will soon be reunited with their families." Also echoing
Hell no, it might no damn nomination, bitch. I ain't bringing shit home. I got my money.